speaker, Mary, to open up proceedings here today.
Agus go fáilteú ann inniu, agus mar go sé ceart an céard focail as Gaeilge. So, as mo chuí, speak up! Louder! Cueness, right. Vertically challenged as Gaeilge. So, Arish. Mar atá sé ceart an céard focail as Gaeilge. So as mo crí is mis éiRe as an clown de bhosc. Ban bio as cúntailin ní as cúga mún. As an talamh as an uisce as an éiRe. As an dain ar fad, agus tá mo crí lán de grá a bheith ann inniuh le gach ban, gach fear, gach páiste, na hanmhaithe agus na héanaín go léir. Agus mar atá ceart an dara focail as Béarla. So I'm Mary, and like we've learned, a living woman. Oh, agus Rodella, ní nail agla orn. I'm not afraid. And I'm from County Limerick in Munster, you know, and like I was saying to the lads, I go from the heart, so I'm going freestyle today. So there's nothing up my sleeves, you know, and I was thinking about how I was going to start today, and it came to me as Gaeilge. And like many people who haven't had the opportunity to utilise their native tongue, which I used to be able to speak in school, 40 years without that opportunity makes you very rusty. But I just thought, you know, take it on the chin and have a go, because until we decide we're going to have a go, we're never going to get there. And I had a bit of a rigmarole, and I was kind of, you know, thinking about, well, we are of the earth, and we are of the water, and we are of the air, and we're of the heart soil energy of our ancient mystical island of éiRe, okay? And it reminded me as a child of a little thing that developed in school. And I always like to communicate with people through a story that comes from the heart. And there was this mad little fad in school where children started writing their addresses, so to speak, and they'd pass them on to each other. And you'd put your first name, your family name, your house name, the name of the street you grew up in, the town you grew up in, the county you grew up in. Then you'd say the island nation you grew up in. Then you'd say the northern hemisphere, the earth, the solar system, the universe. And you might think, what in the name of God has that got to do with an bunreacht? It's got everything to do with it, because it's showing that as children intrinsically wanted to identify themselves as who they were, where they were, and what they were. And starting off as Gaeilge on céard focail is absolutely as it should be, because that is our native intrinsic language. It's what sings to our soul, you know? So it then made me think about school. And, you know, I'm a certain vintage, not a bad vintage, and I remember we used to have Coke hours, you know, and I shared some of my dad's old school books and everything on the platform where they were as Cló Gaeilge, right? Now, Not quite that vintage, but I remember when we were in school, there used to be, and I looked them up actually subsequently online, there was a company called Ashling that produced school copybooks. And on the front of the copybook, there was a picture of a round tower or of a Celtic cross or other, famous parts of our national identity. And there were also some of the copybooks that actually had the national anthem inside the rear sleeve. So in our education system, unlike now, the importance of knowing who and what we were as a people was absolutely fundamental to part of our education. And it gave people a sense of belonging and comfort, And then I thought about what took me to the bunreacht platform as opposed to other platforms. And like I'd said on some of the chats before, I'd been on a lot of them and I saw, it would all get a bit full of bickering and all the rest of it, and very good intentions, but it would all get a bit like, okay, enough, not interested. But something about the bunreacht, and I think the first thing I saw was when Mark and Rory, I think it was up in Moy, invoked bunreacht, and it really moved me, it really moved me. The bare feet thing really moved me. Like I was just saying to Rory, my feet are always bloody frozen, so I was like, respect for the bare feet, But also because I've always, throughout my life, even into my childhood, have had a profound connection with nature and a profound connection with trees as well. And then you look at the Cloghailga font, right? And you look at where the text derived from. And Ogham, the Ogham stones, and I may be slightly mispronouncing it, it's a bit potato, but anyway, you know what I mean. That originally named a lot of our native Irish trees. And when I'd climb, we used to have this conker tree that my father planted in our backyard. And this is all to do with bunreacht, because it's about ancestry. So my father came from the countryside, from a farm. And when he had to move to the UK in the 1950s through economic necessity, and my mother trained as a nurse in Coventry, in Burton-on-Trent actually. And this gets back to the Constitution as well in terms of De Valera's attempt to protect the family and the importance of the family. But anyway, my father took a conker from a horse chestnut tree that grew out in the farm he grew up in. And he planted that conker in the house that we lived in the city. And that grew into a tree. And as it grew into a tree, there used to be a particular branch. And when I was feeling a bit different, understatement of the year, I'd go out and I'd climb the tree and I'd sit in this branch, and my poor mother would be inside the window going, Jesus, would you get her down out of that tree? What are the neighbours going to think? And Daddy used to be there going, leave her alone, she's grand. Now, my sister then bought a cottage out the country, which ended up being on the land that belonged to my grandfather originally and was part of the farm my father grew up in. So my father brought a conker from the tree that grew in town that originally came from the farm and planted it out in the cottage I'm now in. And then when my father died in 2017, I went into the house was going up for sale, and I took 5 conkers from that tree and I planted them out on the farm that I'm on, and 4 of them have grown into saplings. So that is the circle of our native earth energy. That is our heart. That is our homeland. That is what we invoke when we invoke bunreacht. Because to me, and Mark and Rory have a phenomenal understanding of the legislative power of bunreacht, which it is a fantastic document from that perspective. But I totally read it and see it as an epic poem, as a great work of philosophy, of a manifestation of paternal love from De Valera to the Irish people. Because De Valera came from a diaspora. His family came from New York, but they were Irish at their core. He came back to Ireland, and often what you find with diaspora is they are so affected by the wrenching of their ancestors from their place and space that their connection with the homeland, when they rediscover themselves in their native soil, would often put the indigenous people that never left to shame, because they know what they lost and they know what they regained, you know? So I suppose the other thing that I would kind of observe is what I really liked about the bunreacht channel was the sincerity and the integrity of what the lads were trying to achieve was tangible, you know? And having said that, and I am going to, I suppose, speak of something that I think is very important for us to speak of. And I did post something about a month or so back when we were on the chat, and it was that excerpt from the Irish Republic that predated, I suppose, even the whole 1916, you know, rising and whatever. And it was a comment, and it's Dorothy McCardle's publication of the Irish Republic, which had a preface written by Eamon de Valera. And she said that the wrongs committed against the Irish people resulted in bringing together disparate groups, people who all had the right heart, energy, intention, but were coming at it from a different perspective. And that's incredibly valid. No one of us should have the audacity to claim to have, you know, the philosopher's stone, that we know the all, the truth, because we don't. Because if we did, as conscious sentient beings, we wouldn't be here, because we would have achieved our conscious awareness. So I would say that there's immense merit and integrity in all the different groups, because we have to bear in mind that there are so many balls in the air at the moment that no one collective consciousness could juggle those simultaneously at the same time with great effect. You could make a good go of it, but you would never achieve the ultimate success that you need to achieve by focusing your consciousness on one area and leaving the others to their journey and respect their journey. And even if we see or find things that they might do or say that don't resonate with our being, we're not, it's like kids say in school now, you're not the boss of me. We're not the boss of them. You leave people to their journey and you accept that, you know? And I think when you come from heart consciousness and when you come from the grounding and this beautiful mystical island that we come from, you can't go wrong. And I was saying to the lads that I came up with that in the past couple of days I was thinking, should I read another bit of the Irish Republic and do a bit of, you know, Upper Volya? And then I thought, no. So I started reading The Children of ÉiRe. Now I'd had the book of Celtic romances for years, but I hadn't actually read it. It's like loads of books I have. I've loads of books. You might think I read loads. I do read loads. But geez, I'd start a book and then I'm like, okay, next. And it's like the pick and mix. And then you get a food coma and you've got to go and lie down and leave it all alone for a bit, you know? But I've never been here before and it's incredibly beautiful, but I couldn't believe it when I came here. What's behind me? The Children of ÉiRe. And how did the Children of ÉiRe end up being cursed and turned to swans? Well, initially, it was when all the kings of Ireland decided, okay, we need to focus, guys, and we need to have one main boss, one main king, right? So they voted in a particular king, and ÉiRe, you know, he wasn't feeling the complete love. He was a bit kind of, excuse me, and what about me? And the other man, being a bit of a de Valera, just thought a little bit of diplomacy will go a long way here now. So he said, I have these fine ladies here, pick one for your wife. So that placated him. Off he went, 4 beautiful children. She passed away after the final child was born, and then he gets a second offering of a second wife. Now this could be slightly artistic license here, guys, so if there's any experts on the children of Lir, cut me a small bit of elastic band slack. And it's the principle that matters, not the actual details at the moment. But basically the point I'm making here is, throughout even our folklore, the idea of leadership or shared leadership, it's something that's fundamentally flawed within our being. When we find a truth, we get incredibly passionate about it, and that's a good thing. But your passion can then become dogmatic. So that's why all of these utopian visions that were dreamed up in the past are fundamentally doomed to become the dystopia that they claim to actually seek to save you from in the first place. It's the nature of our being. So when I look at on bunreacht, you know, and going back to education, and I suppose my mum was home a lot when we were small children. You'd never hear of a mammy going off working, you know, because children were small and mammy was always there when you got back from school. And then in the 70s, we experienced blackouts and everything, and there was a bit of a depression down south. I don't know what was happening, you know, in Ulster, but, you know, and we used to think it was very novel, power cuts, candlelight, and all the rest of it. And mammy went back to nursing, you know, and De Valera sought to protect families from that. De Valera saw that the education of children fundamentally started with the family. So the family would choose the school. And what I found very compassionate in, you know, on bunreacht is he says according to their means. So he acknowledges that for some families, it mightn't be economically viable for their children to go to school. Maybe their children needed to be on the farm. Maybe they needed, you know, to help out with the family and gain a different kind of education. So I think, you know, it's about, we need to progress with tolerance, and we need to keep our focus completely on the task at hand. And I think the way we are going to achieve success with this is connecting first and foremost with the heart energy. The mind follows. If you don't, first of all, connect with the heart energy, and we've seen this a lot with our own family members, where we've been separated through the last 3 years of disinformation and noise and chaos. If we don't connect with the heart, if we don't communicate with them from a love perspective, their defenses go straight up, and they will never hear the wisdom of what you're saying to them beyond that point. So we have to start from love. We have to start from recognizing our brothers and sisters in these other groups. They are not our enemies. They are our brethren, if you want to say. They're our family, you know? So, you know, and I suppose part of my doing on time there, lads. This is like now, I could go on for like, you know, have I? Oh, okay, grand. But, so as I say, you know, I think that's hugely important. Now, my friend Siobhan and I went out to Lochgur Monday week last, right? And Siobhan and I had talked about all of this a lot. And Siobhan and I come from different constitutional perspectives, but that's okay. We've actually chatted and we're learning from each other. And the other thing we've got to be conscious of, and De Valera said this himself in the recording that I posted from that record, when he compiled the 1937 on bunreacht, he took the best of what was there from the previous constitution, not the traitorous treaty, from the 1919. You know, people forget that. So we need to understand that there is kernels of wisdom in everything. Now, do I think that De Valera on education is better in the 1937 than the 1919? I kind of do, but I think in the 1919 they focused very much on a university education. And I think that came from a position where people felt that they had been excluded from a complete, as they would have seen it. As we know, it's now an indoctrination, but they would have perceived it as an education. Whereas I think De Valera's position on education comes from a much more people-centric perspective, you know? So to me, it's a very beautiful human document, as well as a fantastic piece of legislation. And as I say, I'm not going to discuss the legislative qualities because the boys are way better at doing that. I can only speak of and for me, and that's always going to be from the heart. And when Siobhan and I went out to Lough Gur, we were talking about the importance of the feminine heart energy as well. Because I said to Siobhan, like, you know, you have these conversations, like, and I swear to God, if some people were listening to you, they'd be going, here, get the old top with the really long sleeves that tie neatly around the back, you know? And I had said to Siobhan, I think we need to keen the land. So just like at a wake, that we needed to keen our native land. And this relates very much to the mining rights and whatever, that our land is imbued with power, with wisdom, with beauty, you know, and we need to protect it. And we need to connect back with that. And we need to ground ourselves in what's beautiful and what's wonderful about our native homeland, you know? And so I suppose, where am I now? Because I'm kind of, are we about fit? Yeah. So, Moratha Ceart an Dara Focal Oscuelga. Now I'll have to look at my jotter for this. I could probably do it, but just in case I make a complete pig's ear, and I hope there are no Gaflursha Gaelgores here. And I would like to say, Bowalam Falter Kurov Makara, Antaroni Haravek Kusa, Shavoni Brian, as Le Brontanus Kjol. Absolute gift of a song. So, thanks.
Well done.
Gurv maha good mora as cura hurta van Seanjuf is moor an ordum. Tá mé chun árán a canna a dúgtar bailí na hÉireann agus tlíta na hÉireann dit. Tusk go bhfuil ag cailleach iad. I'm Siobhan. Thanks a million for having me here, Mary, for inviting me. And she asked me to learn this song. It's called Irish Ways and Irish Laws. And honestly, I actually didn't know it beforehand. But it's very, very valid because we are losing them. Oh, I was going to get my note down there, but somebody else has my phone. Okay. Once upon a time there was Irish ways and Irish laws, villages of Irish blood, waking to the morning, waking to the morning. Then the Vikings came around, turned us up and turned us down, started building boats and towns. They tried to change our living, tried to change our living. Cromwell and new soldiers came, started centuries of shame, but they could not make us turn. We are a river flowing, we're a river flowing. I wonder will I live so long to see the gates being opened up to our people in their freedom, our people and their freedom. Once upon a time there was Irish ways and Irish laws, the ideas of Irish blood, waking to the morning, waking to the morning.
Well done, Siobhan. Absolutely beautiful. And Mary, thank you very much for your beautiful words there. A shame to be standing here not being able to speak my native tongue, but we all know what has happened over the years, and that's exactly why we're here. And since I've met these guys, Rory and Mice and all the rest of you and Damien, you know, you start to learn who you are, you start to learn where you've come from, and more importantly, you begin to think about where you want to go. And we certainly don't want to go down the globalist path that we're being led, day and daily, thrown down our throats. We're not having it. So, without further ado, I'd like to call Rory, who's going to give us a brief outline of the key message that is given to us in bunreacht, and the legislative background to it. Rory.
Hello, am I close enough to the mic? Yep. People can hear me. I haven't stood in front of a mic very often, so that's going to be a hard act to follow. And thank you both, Mary and Siobhan, for a wonderful delivery of Irish native people and our connection to earth, and a song that should be heard for every man and every woman, that what we're about to lose, Irish ways and Irish laws, and it's still here for us to protect. I just want to gather myself for a moment, so if we can take maybe a moment of silence to remember the people who gave us 1916 proclamation, where we proclaimed independence, 1920-21 Declaration of Independence that led to the Constitution where we got independence. So maybe we can take a moment of silence for those people. Gura Mahagut, Diagwich and Public, Rory Bryan is Adam Dum. Je suis Zeste Kiwi. I'm here to give you my understanding of bunreacht and what it means to be an Irish national and a native indigenous man. And people talk about everything they're learning and what's going on in the world and everything that happened to us and the teachings and the mind control that children have been having in education systems in this country and all around the world. And I'm one of those lucky people that didn't get that. And it's brought me to an understanding, as Mary spoke about, a language and a text and a heritage, but it's Irish ways and Irish laws. And we don't look at the book now, look at where it came from. Look at the laws and how it's written, look at the fairness, equality, all the things that people are desiring and fighting over. And for some reason, Irish people won't accept it. They won't acknowledge it and won't look at it. But let's have it today, let's hope they do. Because being an Irish national gives you rights to your Irish national first principle official text and language, and they're written in law in 63 articles and enrolled in the offices of the Irish Supreme Court. And for some reason Irish people won't accept that. That breaks my heart every day. So we're going to bring this to court and we're going to prove it in court. We've already done it. But we have an Irish passport. We have an Irish national identity that links us to this. And it comes from our native language and text. It's called Gaelic. Now we have every political party, south, west, north, left, right, whatever they want to call themselves, talking about constitutional change. And Irish people are looking at this blue book, which is not our constitution. Our constitution is called bunreacht. It's the Irish constitution, and it belongs to the Irish people. And we need to realise and get ourselves into the capacity as an Irish national. It's that simple. You know, we have a freedom to travel, we've freedom of movement, we've rights to property. Mary spoke about the family, and it's massive, you know. You hear Sinn Féin telling people that it ties a woman to the sink. It doesn't. It gives a woman the right to stay at home and be a mother or go to work. That's a choice that's in there. And it's massive that women need to stand up and look at the Constitution. And I implore every woman, every Irish mammy, every Irish mother, because for the men, for some reason, want to fight over their egos and how well they done in the Defence Forces and how well their fathers were in the army and the Garda Síochána, who are standing at the back of the garden here today, watching us and admiring us, I hope. Look what them men have gone through since a treaty. Michael Collins signed us away under the King, and we became Shush Not a Heron, and we were enslaved in the constitution of the Irish Free State. As a dominion of the UK, we became persons. We became persons under an all caps name, enslaved into a system, the Crown establishment, through our birth certificate. It all sounds strange to everybody, but it's real and it's true. And all you have to do is look at it and bring it to these people and see how they treat you, like they treat me. They don't arrest me, they don't give me any hassle. They're setting me up at the moment, but I freely walk through this land with respect and honour. And I do respect those people too. But it's up to the Garda Síochána. You're here today, some of you are walking away. Fair enough, walk. If you don't want to hear the truth, because that's what we have in the Irish Constitution, we have the truth. And none of your statutes, acts or legislation under this all caps corporation name apply to I, Rory Bryan, Irish national, native, indigenous man standing here today. And the same will go for any Irish national. And I will challenge every legislation under your Crown and corporation every day of my living life. So I want to bring it back to the energy of Mary, because we need that feminine love, and we need to do this with passion and respect for every other man and woman, just because their teachings has taught them something different. So we need to just bring back love and honour to this, because there's such a divide out there, and we do just stay in our honour and our truth and realise how important it is to be an Irish national. And people need to learn to use it to navigate your way through a system and use your all caps name to do your corporate business, you do your commerce. But we have rights, and we need to look at our constitution as of from today. It's 85 years today. It came into the full force of law, and for some reason the people won't accept it. So I'm just here, I don't know what more to say, only that we're here and we're not going away. And God bless the people in éiRe territory today.
Getting bigger as well.
Thanks very much, Rory. It's getting harder and harder to come up here. Okay, so as well as a beautiful book, bunreacht, which outlines our rights as Irish nationals in the territory of éiRe, we also have our music, our Gaelic athletic games, and we're going to bring some of that to life here today. So I would like to invite Ciara and Kylie Rose to recite the poem that's engraved on the wall. We saw a vision. And Tina is going to recall, I think Damien put the feelers out there for people to, in the northern territory of the éiRe, to put their thoughts and their feelings about, and their experiences about growing up through the Troubles. And Tina, which is now regretting, managed to go a step further and put it into a beautiful poem. It's just going to recite after Ciara and Kylie Rose recite We Saw a Vision.
Kaylee's decided I'm going first. In memory of our heroes who died for this country, because people seem very quick to forget about them. It wasn't even more than 100 years ago they died for our country. So, in loving memory of those people who will never be forgotten, I'll try to read this beautiful poem. In haar gedacht, an éidogus, win ook afstring doen. Lassen solas, as an durgus, agus near moekake. éiRe na deirse, win ook afstring doen. Valmer snachte na taive, agus re aun na havil gejochnes as. Churmer ar nationling ag snáv, mar alla ar an aun, rinach fearne den ashling, rinach saura den gira. Agus dagamer an durchtas mar éireachtaí, a glúnta na sírse, cuimhnigi uirne, glúnta na hashlinge. Gur mágah.
In the darkness of despair, we saw a vision. We lit the light of hope, and it was not extinguished. In the desert of discouragement, we saw a vision. We planted the tree of valor, and it blossomed. In the winter of bondage, we saw a vision. We melted the snow of lethargy, and the river of resurrection flowed from it. We sent our vision aswim like a swan of the river. The vision became a reality. Winter became summer, bondage became freedom, and this we left you as your inheritance. O generation of the freedom, remember us, the generation of the vision.
Gonna kill Damien?
Take your time, man.
I'm 5 years old, and the bombs blast and the bullets roar. Here's these men with big guns and boots kicking in my friends and neighbours' door. I'm too young yet to understand, but as the years pass by, I realise they're after our land. Through childhood and teenage and adult life, I've seen my fellow country people put up a fight. Many dead, people in prison, others having to flee. We never asked for this, you and me. All these years of torture, horror and pain, I refuse to believe they've all been in vain. Here in my hand, hopefully, I hold the remedy, and with the help of bunreacht, at last I will see my country free. Thank you. Come with
Of course, the treaty expired, didn't it, this year? We haven't had anybody from an official capacity come out and tell the people. But what's going to replace the treaty? What's going to replace the treaty is another treaty, obviously, but it's going to be a globalist treaty, and it's going to be a treaty that is going to strip away the remaining rights that have yet to be taken from us. We see the free speech, the hate speech legislation coming through. Once that gets through, up in the north as well as here in the south, we won't be able to do this because it's going against what the government wants. The people. Thank you. It's going against what the government want the people to hear, see and believe. They don't want us to think. They don't want us to have an alternative point of view. They want us to sit glued to our televisions as we've done over the last 3 years and listen to what the man on the TV tells you what to do next. We're not having it. That's what the next treaty is going to be. But if we can pull together, if we can swell our ranks, if we can bring the people together, because this is all it is, it's just bringing people together. Invoke your rights, evoke and bunreacht. And Michael D. Higgins, you are acting now as an unconstitutional president. You know it. You have it within your power. Evoke and bunreacht. Now. Of course, one of the biggest kept secrets is the mining industry. And I would like to welcome Mickey from the Sperrin community in Mid-Ulster to tell the people what is happening with our beautiful lands and the fate that lies in front of us if these global corporations get their way.
Hello boys, girls. I never speak, so I don't know how well this is going to go. I don't like preparing anything, I just, whatever comes off that happened in my head, I just say it, you know. But basically, if you tell the truth, you've nothing to fear. Us people up in the north here, we went through hell and back. Me growing up from the 70s onward. Sinn Féin's came in, along with other political parties, and they've sold us down the river. They've sold out their own people. We're being demonised, threatened, death threats, whatnot. The law of the government is hell-bent on trying to stop us from standing up for our own right to have the say of our own futures. But we're not gonna stop. We're gonna keep going. And all I'm here for is just to share my experiences of what we're facing, and to let the people know that it's coming to them. At the minute, there is 25% of the north is under licence for mining. South of the border, there's 28% south of the border under licence for mining. With over 50% of this land is going to be destroyed for the greed of the few, and we're all going to suffer if we don't make a stand. We need to be getting active. It's too late getting active when you see the land being destroyed. You need to start now. You need to get active. You need to make sure that you, the people, are the people that's going to stand up for yourselves. Don't wait for somebody else to save you. I don't trust anybody, only myself, because I know I'm not going to let myself down, and I know I'm not going to let my children down. And this is what it's for. And we have to make a stand here. Now, I don't know what else to add to that. You can see they don't like free speech. You can see from the hedges all there that the guards are all around us like fleas. But there's more of us than there is of them. Don't lie down to the bastards.
We are the many, they are the few.
Learn who you are and learn what life's about. And if you don't have clean water and clean air, you have nothing. Your children will have nothing. You'll end up watching your children in a sick bed, and it'll be too late then to say, I wish I'd done something. Do it now. Do it now. Start getting active and start spreading the word and make sure this doesn't happen to those people. Please. That's all I have to say.
Good on, Maggie. Thanks very much. So we're going to have a wee musical and cultural interlude at this point. Who have we got? Darren? Where's he? Oh, there he is. And John. We were all meant to get together earlier and practice this, so we haven't a clue what's about to happen. As we gathered in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these last few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed? From our school days they have told us we must yearn for liberty, but all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I bear for these brave men, my love for this dear land. But when Parry called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. To him I had to go.
Come on.
Oh, grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I place this wedding ring upon your fingers. There won't be time
to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn, as I walked out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall, so everyone will know I loved you so much I could see was blood upon the rose. Oh, grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me down and on, and I will die. With all my love, I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. No, there won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
Sorry, we're not as well organised as the Emmys would be.
You're fired.
Okay. Go ahead, you take it away.
See, we were meant to have someone coming here today with playing some music anyway, right? Where we go?
Go ahead.
When boyhood's fire was in my blood, I read of ancient free men for Greece and Rome who bravely stood, 300 men and 3 men. And then I prayed I yet might see our feathers rent in twain, and Ireland long a province, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. And from that time, through wildest woe, the hope has shone afar right, nor could one's love, oh lads, I'm sorry. And from that time, through wildest woe, that hope's a nation far light, nor could love's brightest summer glow outshine the solemn starlight. See lads, I ain't gone here. I apologise.
You went in there. Well done. Well done.
You know what, right? Right, fuck it, I'll sing this one, yeah? Just because the men are down there, I'm going to sing this one. I want you all to sing with me. A hungry feeling came on me stealing as the mice were squealing in my prison cell, and the old triangle goes jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal to begin the morning. A screw was bawling, get up you bowsy and clean out yourself on the old triangle. Goes jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. The lads were sleeping, Humpy Gussie was peeping, as I lay there weeping for my dear girl Sam on the old triangle. Goes jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal.
I have to leave it like that.
I was going to give you a wee slow air called Rossing 2. If we can get my fingers loosened up here. Thanks very much. Go ahead.
Mark was brilliant in that song, wasn't he, on the guitar?
Yeah, it should be, yeah. Doesn't look like I meant to play a song. What? Oh yeah.
been about 2 years since I last played, so you have to bear with me with everything that was going on.
That's 2 our fathers and 4 heavenly.
1, 2, 2, 2. And apples do grow in November, and blossoms still bloom from every tree. When leaves are still green in December, then our lands will be free. I wander the hills and the valleys, and still through my sorrow I see a land that has never known freedom, and only her rivers run free. I drink to the death of a manhood, to those men who'd rather have died than to live in a cold chains of bondage, to bring back the rights that were denied. Oh, where are you now when we need you? What burns where the flames used to be? Are you gone like the snows of last winter? And only your rivers run free. How sweet is life when you're crying, how mellow is the wine but it's dry, how fragrant is a rose but it's dying, and gentle is the breeze but it sighs. What good is a youth without aging? What joy is in your eyes that can see where there's sorrow and sunshine and flowers? Still only our rivers run free. Still only our rivers run free. We're very oldies to blow out the cobwebs. I was going to do Grace, but I can't follow Darren's race.
Be you, man.
Try this one. It's not really a rebel song, but we'll do it. It's an Irish one anyway. See the child with the golden hair, yet eyes to see the emptiness inside. Do we know? Can we understand just how he feels, or have we even tried? See him now as he stands alone and watches children play a children's game. Simple child, he looks almost like the others, yet they know that he is not the same. Scorn not his simplicity, but rather try to love him all the more. Scorn not his simplicity, oh no, oh no. See him stare, not recognizing the kind face that only yesterday he loved. Mother's gone, can't understand guilty of. Oh, how she cried, tears of happiness today. The doctor told her it's a boy. Now she cries, tears of helplessness, and thinks of all the things he can't